Hello everyone, I'd like to go over how to make the awareness ribbons. It is a free pattern available at Cindy Wood Looms online, and it's also available on the Loom knitting group, Loom Knitters for Beginners. It is a free pattern in the file section. You can make this on the 3/8 inch Cindy Wood as well as the 3/8 inch KB Baby Loom or Skinny Flexies. It works on either of those. The only thing is, if you're going to use Cindy Wood 3/8, these pegs are much smaller in diameter than the pegs from the KB. So if you're using a Cindy Wood, I recommend one strand of a number 4 yarn. And if you're using the KBs, I recommend one strand of a number 5 weight yarn. It's a little thicker. And the reason I say that is if you use a number 4 on these looms, this is what your ribbon it's loosey-goosey and it wants to curl up, and it should be more like this one. This was made on the Cindy Wood. It's tighter, it doesn't curl very much, and it's so much more fancier looking. You don't want a loosey-goosey kind of whatever this is here. So don't use number 4. I did not try doubling my strands. If you want to try that, by all means you can do that. But I recommend the Cindy Wood out of all 3 of them, only because the awareness ribbon comes out so much neater. It's tighter. It's just a much more elegant look. Here is one from the KB loom. It's pretty similar in size, but this is, I don't know, it's thicker because of the number 5 yarn you have to use, and it just doesn't look quite as fancy or elegant as the Cindy Wood. And this loom really is not very expensive, and it really comes in handy and very nice. And I like the diameter 3/8 inch pegs on this. Okay, but for sake of showing you, I'm going to use this one that doesn't have anything on it right now. I'm going to get you started to show you. So if you're going to follow along with the pattern, make sure you print it out either at Cindy Wood or the Loom knitting group. And the first thing it says is to place a slip knot on peg 1. If you have Cindy Wood, you can always just tuck your yarn in. You can always just tuck your yarn into this anchor pin. That's why I like Cindy Wood so much also. To start, you don't need slip knots. But by all means, slip knots, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't know how to slip knot, just kind of tie it on there. That's fine too. But if you slip knot, you can do that. Twist around and then I pick it up. Place that on peg 1 and snug it up. Okay. Now, it says to double E-wrap peg 2. This is 1. So I'm going to double E-wrap peg 2. There's one E-wrap and another E-wrap. Okay, and then just knit it off. And then you want to do it one more time because we want 3 pegs. So E-wrap it and then E-wrap it again. And then knit it off. Okay, just snug it up a little bit. I think my yarn's on the wrong side here and I'm having a problem. Okay, so right now that would be considered your cast on. You've got the slip knot and the 2 double E-wraps. And the next part of the pattern says to U-knit all 3 pegs. Okay, so we'll just want to half wrap it. And knit off. And you'll half wrap the next one. And knit off. And the same with peg 1. And knit that off. You can just tug on that yarn a little bit. Here, I'm sorry, I got that way off camera. Just tug on it. Now it's Now that you're ready, working yarn is on peg or coming off of peg 1. Okay, so now the ribbon is made with a 2-row repeat. The first row is to E-wrap all 3 pegs, and the second row is to flatten it all 3 pegs. So we'll go over both of those. Okay, so this is considered a cast on. We double E-wrapped and then we U-knit back. The U-knit back gets you back to starting at peg 1, but it also snugs up your cast on. So I almost always, even if I chain cast on, even for if I was doing all these pegs, if I chain cast on, then I U-knit back around to peg 1. The U-knit helps to snug up your cast on so it's not all loopy. Okay, so row 1 is the E-wrap all 3 pegs. And this, on this pattern, we are not skipping any pegs, and we're not going to skip or U-knit. We're just doing all 3 pegs, all the same, every row. Okay, so you E-knit all 3. So we'll knit off all 3. Bear with me until I get my bearings with this camera. Okay, again, I just pulled on this a little bit. That helps pull that down inside, keeps it till it gets a little bit longer. You won't need to do that. Okay, so we did our E-wrap row. So the next is flatten it. I want you to lay the yarn across all 3 pegs, but not real tightly. It's snug, but it's not real tight. You just want it snug enough that you can pull the loops up over without it falling off. Again, you'll start over here, and you'll just knit off all 3 pegs. Missed that one. Okay, and the last one. And just push down again. You can just pull this down a little bit to help you until it gets going. Okay, so that was the flatten it row, and you'll just keep repeating that. So we're going to E-wrap again. You will repeat this until I have set 40 rows as 6 inches, so you don't even have to keep track of the row count. You can just measure it if you want. When it gets about 6 inches, that's about as big as you need it to be. 6 inches means 3 inch, that you'll end up with a 3 inch long. If you used 8, it would be 4 inches long. So, I mean, it depends how big you want your ribbon. If you're making it, are you making this, you know, to hang on a wall or a refrigerator or something, you want it bigger? Whatever you want it to be. If you want it 4 inches, then make this 8 inches. If you want it to be 12, you would make it 24 inches. However big you want your ribbon to be. Okay, so we E-wrapped them 3. Next row is the flatten it. Again, just keep it loose, just tight enough that you can knit it over without that loop coming off. And just, again, you can always pull down on this beginning string to help you keep it coming out. See, it's coming out like that. And that's all you do for 6 inches. Okay, so one more time, we're just going to E-wrap all 3. This yarn splits so easily. I'm not exactly sure what the brand is. I think it's Charisma. But for some reason, this color is really wants to split. Okay, so that was your E-wraps. Again, you just lay your yarn over for the flatten it. And like I said, just tight enough that you can get these loops over. You know, you have to help it a little bit if you need to. Don't want it to get too tight on you. There, that was coming up, so I'll just kind of hold it down a little bit farther to get my loop over. Okay? So we're going to do that. We're making this one right now. This is what it'll look like when it comes off of the loom. And that got you started. So now I want to show you how to bind off. You'll do that, keep doing those 2 rows over and over and over. So let's say this is the one we were just working on. It measures You can put your flexies together any way you want. If you just want to work with flat ones, that's okay. I wanted it to sit up on me, so I just made it. I used all these solid squares so that it wasn't moving at all, which takes away the flexi idea, but in this case, that's how I wanted to set it up. So it's 6 inches long, so now we're going to bind off. So to bind off, just cut your working yarn maybe 6 to 8 inches. Okay, now you'll want to lay the working yarn in front of whatever your first peg is. Okay, and you're going to use your hook to bring the yarn up through the loop on peg 2. So just go down through the loop on your second peg, pick up this working yarn, and pull it through. You can also use a needle if you want to. These bent tip needles from Clover are excellent, and because it's got the bent tip, it will get underneath of there and come right up. So I highly, highly recommend this for all your yarn on looming projects, and they're not expensive. You can also get them from Amazon. They're not Clover, but they're still very, very nice, and you can get like hundreds of them if you want. All right, so the next thing we want to do after we bring it up through this loop is to go back to peg 2, or peg 1, I'm sorry. Go back to peg 1 and bring this yarn down through both. So take your hook, go up through both of these loops. If you can see that. Grab hold of that yarn and bring it down through those two. And now you're going to lay it in front of peg 2, and you're going to bring it up on your third peg. Bring it, scoop it up. I'm trying to look through the camera and my thing here. Okay, bring it up through. Then take it back, and now you're going to bring it down through both of these. When you lay that yarn across there, it sort of makes another loop. Okay, and then to end, we just want to bring it up through that third one again. Okay, and then you can remove your loops. I like to push them to the top so that it makes it a little easier to get off. Most of the time you can just pull them off with your fingers. Okay, when you take it off, you'll just want to snug up that end a little bit, and there is your finished piece. Now you'll weave in these ends. So you just use that same kind of needle. Okay, you can choose which side you want it to be, your front and your back. Like this side to me is very, very pretty. So I think I would rather use this side. Like that. But you can use either side. So if I'm going to use that side as my front, then I'm going to weave in these tails on the back. And I'm not really worried about them staying in or anything like that, because this is just going to be a pin or a magnet, so you're not going to be washing it and fooling with it that the ends would come out. I just took it up maybe an inch or so. Okay, and then just cut it off. All right, and the same with this side here. Just thread your needle. I like to fold my yarn in half around the needle, and then it just pushes right through the eye of the needle. Did you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Just fold it around your needle, and then just put your eye down over it. You know, that's better than trying to poke an end into it. Again, this is the side I want to use, so I'm going to weave it in to this side. You can go back and forth, or you can go straight. Like I said, it's not going to be coming out like this isn't something you're going to wash like a blanket, and that you don't want it coming out. Okay, so now we got both of those in. Now I want you to take another piece of this yarn, maybe 6 inches or so, 6, 7, 8 inches. Okay, and again, I want you to thread your needle. Again, if you didn't see that, just fold it around the needle and then pinch it with your fingers and then it should go right through the eye of this needle. The eye is nice and big. This bent part is so nice, it works easily. And now I want you to decide where you want to fold it. You know, do you want a big loop, a small loop? Do you want your loop like that? Okay, so if this is where I want it, I'm going to turn it around to the back, and I want you to put your needle through the back, anywhere, it doesn't matter, through the back, but have it come out the front like this. But don't pull it all the way through. Let a little bit hanging out the back. And now I want you to take it back through from the front to the back. Just don't go back through the exact same spot. Just go over another stitch. Push it from the front to the back of it. And this time pull it all the way. So you don't even see that little loop in there. But you got both ends. Take your needle out. You have both ends back here. Okay? And then I want you to tie a knot. What I like to do is take the first strand over, like that. And since you used this strand over first, now use this strand over first. So this knot will be like that. That makes a real nice knot. It's easier to show when you have two colors. Pull it real tight. And again, take your ends, thread your needle, and now just tuck this in. Weave it down through the same spot where you weave the other one up. It doesn't matter. And you'll do trim real close. Okay, this one here I didn't trim very close, so I'm just going to give it a little trim. And we'll do this one. Okay, and come weave that one in as well. You know, keep shaping it. You want to tug it here or there. If you like it bent that way, you can. I kind of like it bent in like that, so it looks like it's coming up and around. That's a real nice ribbon. Now, you can use pins like this on the back, and you could just glue it. I like to use a low temperature glue gun. You can put it at the top. It would hide behind there at the top if it's small enough. You can put it here, but it seems a little bit lumpy to put that there because of the knot and everything. But it will work if you glue it there. I think it would actually work better if you had it at the top of this particular pin. Now with this one here, this is like a tie tack kind of thing. You know, you pinch the ends and it comes off and it looks like a tie tack. So you'll glue this flat end to it. Again, you could do it at the top because it's not visible. If you put it back there, it wouldn't be visible. I think it would work better at the top than the knot, but you can put it wherever you can find a place to put it. Another thing I like to use is business card magnets. They're just pieces of magnet, and on the back they have a sticky, but they're very easy. You can just cut them with a nice piece of scissor. Cut a little piece off. Very easy to cut with any scissors. Now you have a piece of magnet. So you can put that magnet here at the top, or you could put a magnet easily over the knot because it wouldn't matter. And then it would stick right to the refrigerator. You just take this white piece off and it's sticky. And you can just stick it right to your thing. So now if you want, say you want an ornament, you would take another piece of your thread or your yarn and cut it. Go ahead and put it on your needle. And I would just put it right here on the top of the back. So maybe pick up this thread here, pull it through. I mean, you don't have much choice. You have to make a knot. So one strand, and then bring it around and take that one. Just pull all of them, and then you can trim this close You have to make sure it's nice and tight. Trim that close. You can have the knot at the top, or you can bring it down and sort of hide your knot behind it. And you can use that for an ornament hanger. Or you can get creative and make something fancier, or maybe use a piece of chain or anything you want to. What depends what kind of an ornament or where you want to put it. If it's on a Christmas tree, you could maybe you can put a Christmas hook, just tuck it into the back and then hang it. You might not even need a handle. They come in many colors. At the end of the pattern, I have a picture. You'll see a picture of some of the other colors of ribbons. Pink is for breast cancer. I know the red is for heart. And I know that this gray and blue is for diabetes. Now, when you're making, if you're making a double colored one like this, and I have this on the pattern of how to do it, changing colors, you know, you want 3 inches about of one color and 3 inches of another. To me, 40 rows, you do knit 20 of one color and 20 of another. Now on the Cindy wood, and this was made on Cindy wood, I use 50 rows to get 6 inches. Because the pegs are smaller, it takes more rows. So if you're making 50, I want you to stop on this first one. So you'll make like 26 pegs or 26 rows of one color and 24 rows of a second color, because I want you to end on peg 1. If you do 25 and 25, you're going to end over here on peg 3. And I'd like you to do your bind off from peg 1. Okay, so this is a Cindy wood I already had started. So let's just show the bind off one more time, in case you didn't get it the first time. Okay, you're ready to bind off. Lay this yarn in front of the first peg and bring it up through. Pick up the loop on 2, peg 2, scoop that up and pull it out. Oh, I guess I didn't cut it. Gotta cut it first. All right. And now you're going to take it back over top of peg 1. You're going to pick up these 2 loops up through the bottom, then grab hold of that and bring it down through both of those loops. This is also how I use to bind off all my blankets. You just have a longer piece of yarn and a lot more loops. But this works every time for me, and I like it. So again, you're laying it in front of 2, bring it to the bottom of peg 3. You're going to scoop down and bring it up through. And now take it back and put it at the top of peg 2, because now you're going to take it down. Pick up them 2 and bring it down through. Sorry about hitting the camera there. And now one last time, bring it up through your very last loop. It doesn't matter if you have 20 loops or whatever, you just keep doing the same thing. Okay, and you'll just pull them off. Okay, you'll want to just pull, get it snug there, and shape it. And again, you'll make your cross, you'll tuck your ends in, and you'll sew your middle, just like I did before. Bring it through halfway, then back through, and then tie a knot in the back. So that's a Cindy wood and KB. Now, like I said, I haven't tried. If you want to use 2 strands of number 4 on the KB and see how it comes out. If you don't have a number 5 yarn, then that's perfect. You can try that. Or maybe you have a thicker number 4 yarn of some kind and you want to use that, that's fine too. Just know that if you use a number 4 on these, it's going to be a very loosey-goosey kind of ribbon. And like I said, I can't really stop the curl for some reason. It's just not thick enough. And yet, if number 5 on KB, I don't have a problem with it curling or being too loose. It's very pretty. Like I said, you can use either side. This is using the side I thought was more fancy, but this is using the other side. So whichever you like better, you can do it any way you want to. And remember, there are several that are 2 colored ribbons. Like I said, just make it close half and half the color, and then make your loop. So that's about it. That's the ribbons. I showed you the pins and the magnet and the ornament holder. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.